Good evening and welcome to the October 25th meeting of the Town Council. If you'll kindly rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, just got a few announcements here. The general election will be held Tuesday, November 6th from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. The three polling locations are the James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School, the Merrimack Middle School, and St. John Newman Church in the south end of town. You can visit the New Hampshire Secretary of State's website or call the town clerk's office at 424-3651 to find your specific polling location. And the website might be the quicker and easier way to do it, but either would work. The town council meets on the first and third Thursdays in the months of November and December. Thursday, November 1st at 7 p.m. and Thursday, November 15th at 7 p.m., both here in the Matthew Thornton room. Eileen, do you have any announcements?
Yes. The Parks and Recreation Department invites Merrimack families to join us Friday, October 26th at Wasserman Park for the 26th annual Halloween party. This free event features a wide variety of games, crafts, and other activities, including our costume event. The event is from 5 to 8 p.m. Very well attended, I'm told.
Yes.
Drug Take Back Day is Saturday, October 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Merrimack Police Department. I believe they also have just a box out there in the lobby for people to bring things in as well. I think this one's supposed to be kind of a joke. Chief Roy has announced the trick-or-treat hours are Wednesday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's true. So October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. But the joke is that Mark Doyle, Chief Doyle, he said he was going to change Halloween because of the weather, because, you know, the thing, and so he was going to change it. And then he threatened to change Christmas also. So I think this is why they're saying that she announces that she's endorsed Halloween for the day of Halloween. From, again, long story, but Wednesday, October 31st, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. according to 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. according to the order by Chief Roy. So the property tax rate has been set at $24.12 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. This represents a 75-cent per thousand increase compared to the 2017 rate. For clarity on that, the tax rate went up by 20 cents on the municipal side, and then 55 cents on the school side, making a total of 75 cents. So the tax bills are expected to be in the mail on November 7th with a due date of Friday, December 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Next item on the agenda, PFAS update. Bill, I don't know if you have anything. All right, I think
At least I don't.
Yep. I think with Sarita and the information meeting that we had, we might contemplate having updates when Sarita might stop by our meetings and make a presentation to us for anything that might be cogent and important at that point.
Okay.
Because right now we're in a coast mode, so I don't know if the council is amenable to that. That's what I'm suggesting we might do, having updates when appropriate. So if everybody's good with that, we might start doing that.
Okay.
All right, next on the agenda, Highway Garage project update. Paul, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, the garage is moving along. The garage doors have been put in place over the week. Doors are in, windows are in. It's actually been sheetrocked. We walked through on Wednesday, and most of the interior has been sheetrocked. They're going to be taping and mudding over the weekend, hoping to sand early next week, and then paint, then do the remaining finishes. We are working on a schedule. It appears that we'll be in right around Thanksgiving, as promised by the vendor. They're gonna miss my November 1st date, which is a little sad for me, but in reality, we all knew it was gonna be around that. No, we all knew it was gonna be around in November, around Thanksgiving. Once that is done, we will be doing some fuel island work in December, January, re-siding the current building that we're in January timeframe, and doing a roof repair in the next couple of weeks. So the project is moving along. We should be totally turned back to us around February of 2019, which is ahead of schedule also as well. So, but it's moving along. Every Wednesday we have a meeting. Next week we're going to actually talk about with our information technology people and the vendors to start seeing when we can start doing some internal fit up and get some of our IT needs started in that building with phone lines and cable lines and things of that sort. So the project is progressing.
Thank you, Paul. Next item on the agenda, comments from the press and public. If you would like to address the council, you can step up to this mic or sit at this table.
Hello, Kathy Stack, 7 Knollwood Drive, Merrimack. I'd first like to read Nancy Murphy prepared a statement to read onto the record. If that'd be okay, I'd like to read that, and then I have some questions. Okay, this is written by Nancy Murphy. She wrote it today. Meeting of the joint PFAS advisory group was scheduled and held on Tuesday, 10/23 at the Merrimack Public Library. Merrimack Citizens for Clean Water representatives, MVD Commissioners Provencher and Von Schoen, and residents and Waterway Committee members Nelson Disco were in attendance. Town Council members did not attend. Councilor Albert notified the group today that after the recent update meeting with DES and DHHS, he feels that things are moving forward on all fronts and thus doesn't see the need to attend monthly meetings. Councilor Albert has offered to meet 3 or 4 times per year or when something urgent should arise. The group has not yet had time to discuss plans going forward and can provide an update and response at the next town council meeting. Thank you, Nancy Murphy. So my question is, I was at a meeting, didn't seem so far away, where Councilwoman Harrington asked Councilman Albert and Boyd to attend these meetings and to really get them going and get them initiated and see what we could do as a town to take a good look at this water situation. I'm not confident that that ever occurred. From what I see, you're pulling out. The situation isn't over. It's just as severe as it always was, and yet now I read from a memo today that you guys will do it when it's urgent. Well, it's urgent, and I don't know what else you need to know. If you haven't figured it out by now, you need to read the reports, do the studies. It's here, it's now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hi there, Wendy Thomas, 10 Wildcat Falls. The reason I'm here is I have another update on the well testing, my private well. Just to recap, in last September, in 2017, the first time our well was tested, we paid for it, and the total PFAS contamination was 20.4. The state wasn't sure that they believed that because, again, we were 3.5 miles from Saint-Gobain. They said that the contamination zone was no further than 1.5 miles. Excuse me. So the state tested our well. That came back at 45. Well, Saint-Gobain legal team got hold of those results, and they said, nope, we don't believe that. We're going to go in and test that water. They tested our water in August. We got the results recently. They're 54 parts per trillion. In 11 months, the contamination in our well has gone up threefold. An expert who has been watching this situation and who knows the results and can interpret them contacted me and told me that under no circumstances should I drink my water. So to hear council members say that we're in coast mode, or that you feel that we don't have to attend meetings because everything is moving forward, is to be naive of the problem. The problem is spreading. It is not 1.5 miles. They're talking about a 60-mile contamination zone. 60 miles. It's spreading, it's getting worse. The town has made an agreement with Saint-Gobain for the northern part of the town where the wells have been contaminated. Any well that's above 45 is going to be regularly monitored. Mine in southern Merrimack is 54. Where's my agreement?
Mr. Chairman, she's speaking erroneously. The town did not enter into an agreement with Saint-Gobain. It was the Department of Environmental Services. Could you please correct the record?
Okay, that's
Thank you.
fine, that's fine. But where is my agreement? Where is the safety and the protections for my family where this stuff is all spreading?
No, you feel free.
One of the things that I found out when we had Sarita look at, go through the various things, is that, I don't know if you've ever seen that map where it has the zone that's this kind of an ink blot kind of shape, and then there's in red, and then there's a blue area. The blue area is basically a really large area, and what it is that red area hasn't been established yet. It's still morphing. So that's one of the reasons why they're testing you, maybe even though that you might be out of the red area, you're not out of the blue area. So what they're going to do as this progresses, they're going to be moving that out. And I believe that the blue area is the area that the state and Saint-Gobain agreed was the furthest, again, it's the state and Saint-Gobain, not the town, agreed that that was the furthest that the air could have moved the PFOA through the air. Eligibility for anything to be paid for.
I don't think we're disagreeing. I think you're saying that they're acknowledging at some point the contamination zone is bigger than they think it might be. And I'm saying, I know it is. That's all.
I'm just explaining that there
No, I
is
get
a
it.
plan in place,
I get it.
so.
Yeah, forgive me if I don't trust them. They haven't exactly been trustworthy before. So, Saint-Gobain. I'm trying to. It's really difficult sometimes. Some of the information that's coming out of DES is questionable. I'm trying, because I think they're on the good side, and I'm really trying.
Thank you, Wendy. Oh, Peter, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, no problem. In light of recent comments, and a couple of them directed at myself, I'd like to respond. First of all, I don't think this matter is in coast mode. Second of all, may I speak? Second of all, we were asked to be advocates, and myself and Councilor Boyd have been advocates, and this council has been advocates under the issue. And some of our authority, it's well known, is limited in this issue. I reached a point when attending these meetings on a monthly basis that I felt that the productivity level wasn't what it should be or could be. And that's no problem. The folks involved, I admire the dedication of you folks, and Lorraine Allen, who's not here tonight. But I guess I've hit not a frustration level, but a point that I think that, in my opinion, I'd be happy to attend quarterly meetings. And yeah, I did say if something urgent arose, and I meant that. If something urgent arose, something changed or something came forward, absolutely. But I felt at this point that in light of the meetings, in light of the information that's come forward in that recent meeting with DES and DHHS and stuff, that that we're moving forward. And some of the discussion at these meetings didn't deal with a lot of that. It dealt with, it didn't deal with the issues that we're moving forward on directly. So, that's my explanation. I had a feeling people would be unhappy with it, but I stand by it at this point.
Thanks, Peter. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mike, I appreciate the latitude. I saw the emails, and I just haven't had a chance to respond to the emails. So to suggest that I'm looking to pull out of monthly meetings, I haven't figured out really what I want to do. Because I share the same frustration level with Peter Albert. Right now, I feel like I'm window dressing. I've gone to 3 meetings, I've sat there, I bring a skill set. I serve up in Concord on a commission. I talk with people on a regular basis. Nobody once has asked me to say, can you talk to Clark about this issue? Can you talk to Commissioner Scott about this issue? No, can you talk to Lisa Morris about this issue? Nobody has outreached me. That's the whole point of being a liaison, is to utilize the contacts that I've developed and Councilor Albert have developed during our time here on the council to advocate on behalf of the community. Made no secret that it's a problem. It's a problem that can be fixed. But problems don't get fixed when we're pointing the fingers at each other and we're blaming each other, because quite honestly, not about fixing the blame, about fixing the problem. And I'm in problem-solving mode right now. So I suggest that you feel that I haven't had the chance to read the emails that have come through. So I mean, outside of what Councilor Albert has said tonight, it's really kind of the first inkling of something going on. And, going back to what Councilor Harrington said a couple of months ago about us being underutilized, some events that have transpired over the last couple of months, I really feel that Councilor Albert and I, and quite honestly, the rest of this town council and Eileen and Paul have been underutilized by people in the community who've been advocating for us. So, please, don't complain. Okay, we're on the same team. We live in the same community. We drink from the water from the same faucet. You and I may think about things differently. We may process information differently. But at the end of the day, we're focused on trying to fix the problem. And that's really what I care about right now. And I'm not in coast mode. I am not in coast mode. I pay close attention to what is being said on social media on a daily basis so that I understand the concerns that are being raised by the members of this community. And to suggest that I'm looking to pull out of meeting with the Citizens for Clean Water is further from the truth. But I'm not going to lie to you. Like Councilor Albert, I have a lot of concerns that my time is not being adequately utilized during those monthly meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill. Mike?
Thanks a lot, Mr. Chairman. Mike Malzone, 80s Chamberlain Road. Is that on? Yeah, thanks a lot. There's a few issues that's happening in town, and I think as citizens, when we were a smaller form of government, I thought that they spent and dealt with the residents of the town on more of a personal basis. I also thought community development was more for the people of the town as opposed to the builders that were coming into town. I've always been for building in the town, but I was always believed in the people that were here first should have some say in what's going on in their community. I'm the victim of 80s Chamberlain Road, which it looks like a bomb has gone off in my neighborhood. And again, that was advertised as Daniel Webster Highway Project, and this goes back to community development. When Walter Warren was alive, he was very involved in the community. He was always on sites looking at what was going on. We don't have that in this town anymore. We have people that just okay projects without even looking or finding out what is going on in those neighborhoods, how wide the roads are. Are there any PFO problems in my neighborhood that they just unearthed, the whole neighborhood? They got to take every tree down to every person's property line, which is just unheard of. So now this week, they get the other side of the road, which was actually the original plot that was listed in the paper as where the 49 condos were going to go. Daniel Webster Highway, which it never went there. It was going on East Chamberlain Road. You think we have a problem in this town? You've got to be kidding me. How can that possibly go out as a legal notice, which I barked about the legal notices months ago, which thank God they're finally letting the residents of the town know that they're in the newspaper now, which we should have been aware of all of this time. So now this week, they clear cut the other corner. None of that was discussed at the planning board meeting. Why is that? So what are they gonna do now that they raped the land on that side of the street? They're gonna plant trees? Are they gonna do anything before the winter and the bad weather comes? Now, I'm exposed to all of that on top of that hill. My privacy is gone, which I know I don't own that land, so I cannot control that. But to cut every tree down and not have any repercussions of that, or even tell the people of the town what they're going to do to that side, let alone, it's also a state law that when you have tractor trailers like that on the street, that there should be a cop or a flagman there. But somebody has very special permission to do things in this town, and it's not the residents of this town. It should be looked at. It really should, because it's unheard of. I hear you talking about the tax bill. My house just dropped another 100 grand in value. Forget the water. Look at my house. You can see it as you drive up Daniel Webster Highway now, okay? My tax bill's gonna go up? Really? Really? I can't stand outside my house anymore because A, all night, whatever night the football games are on, it's as bright as this at my house now. Nobody thought of that. Nobody thought of the wind coming through all that acreage that was devastated and clear cut. It's an absolute windstorm outside my house all day, all night. The saddest part of it all, I gotta take my American flagpole down. That's horrible. Finley, you know me, I love my flag. I gotta take it down because the pole's gonna break. That wind is constant. But does anyone from community development ever walk outside their office and look and see and go, hey, if we clear cut this place, some people that have been here for 30 years might have a problem? No, no. This is where we're going. And it's sad. Ladies, I appreciate your help. We all know, am I right with having a flagger or a cop up there? I have police that live on my street. They probably don't even know that development's going on. How can you drive by that and not even know? That's even sadder. I know a couple of other chiefs would have said what's going on as soon as they saw the markings on the road. But nothing. And again, just deal with it, Malzone. Shut up and pay your taxes. It's really not cool. It's not at all. So what can I do as a resident to try to block the wind, that torrential wind, from in front of my house? Forget the privacy. There's absolutely nothing I can do with that. You can't get any answers down at community development about what are they going to do down there. There was nothing on that plan. You got people that spend 15, 20 years on a planning board for no money at all, making these type of decisions, and they're not good ones, and they're not for the benefit of the town. So why are they really there? Are they getting paid for that position, or is that not a paid position? If it's not a paid position, why would you do that for 20 years and have that kind of impact on this town? Yeah, I am asking that question out loud, because I don't see any of them benefiting this town. They're really not. And they brag about the decisions that they make. Does anyone sit in this traffic in this town? It's ridiculous. You can't even get through town anymore. But let's keep building and building and building without any infrastructure. It's unheard of. It really is. And now they're going to actually let them cut down. Nobody's talking about erosion controls. In all reality, in the state of New Hampshire, by the 15th of October, you're supposed to be done with those things so you can start getting the land ready for the bad weather that's coming. They're still cutting trees. Who cares what's going to happen if it all washes out on the road? Nobody cares, because the taxpayers of Merrimack will pick up that tab. you'll just throw it on our bill. Because I know you're all not gonna go after that builder. You're not. It hasn't happened, and it's not gonna happen. It's very, very discouraging. I know there's not one thing any of you people can do up here, except for look at who you're hiring in these departments, because I don't think people are doing their job. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. I think, I can't speak to the trees exactly, but I suspect there's nothing that can be done about that. As far as erosion controls, those are all absolutely incorporated. So if land's washing away, that's a real problem. The other thing that I believe is controlled is moving of earth. So if they start cutting away a hillside, those things are permitted and regulated. I'm confident of that, but,
Is it not any, that's not in any of the plans. That's down at community development. And I asked Eileen for all the professional opinions of the people that we pay very big money to in this town, the police, the fire department, the DPW, and everything else. I don't think any of the planning board read the recommendations of the people of the town, of the hierarchy of this town, because it seemed like almost everyone was against that project. But yet, community development says rah, rah, rah.
all right.
There should be plans down there for what's going on that other side of the street. Was there, what's that called when you cut all the trees that you didn't pay taxes on that property all that year?
Yeah, timber tax.
Did the town collect that?
I'm sure they haven't yet, but they will be.
Because nobody talked about cutting those trees. So do you get to just cut it and pay whenever you want? Or is that just another thing that's just gonna go underneath
Eileen,
the
yes.
table?
Mike, can you come to my office, and Tim Thompson and I will go with you to the property, and you can show us things, and he can tell you what's in the plan, what needs to be done, those kinds of things?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've tried to do that without getting you all involved. I've been down to community development. There's a young lady that's very patient down there. But there's none of that information there in the town, only what's going on across the street.
But they were from me, so you can come to my office, you know that.
Yeah, I do, and you've been very helpful, and I appreciate the information that you gave me. And I read all that. And I know that the planning board obviously didn't read that, because they thought it was the greatest plan in the town of Merrimack. And to watch them exuberate over what a great traffic study plan that was, and you look at the police report on that, it was two different projects. Is it time to clean house? I'm sure there's other people who'd be more than happy to sit on that planning board and actually do a little bit of work. Maybe it gets a little stale doing it for 20 or 25 years. And they don't really look at the impact that it's gonna take on the town. Just saying. I mean, there's a lot of people that will volunteer. I'll volunteer. I have volunteered before. But I take it serious, and I would go to the job, or I would look at the fire truck, or I would go down to the town hall, or I would go to the police station, or I would go to the town garage to see if those things would be needed. I don't feel people are doing their job properly in this town.
I'm sure the town council will take you up on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. So you
Yeah,
come to my office, and you know that I'll work with you and
Yeah.
see what I can do for you, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's frustrating.
I'm sure.
It really is, because I took a really, really big hit financially and emotionally. I mean, my wife cried the first week because they cut everything. Y'all see it. Y'all drove down the street. Really? Really? And then you're not going to even widen the road with all that traffic that's up there every day now? It's only 16 feet wide. It's a totally illegal road. And to think that the planning board and the community development think that that hill's going to be okay because they're going to take 2 degrees off that is reckless. Absolutely reckless. Appreciate your time. Appreciate what you do. But I had a vet because I can't go do anything else. I get some people in the neighborhood that would like to destroy things, but you can't do that. Those guys are just trying to make a living too. The people that drop the ball were the people of the town, and you've seen that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody further would like to address the council? Seeing none. No, this evening we have no recognitions, resignations, or retirements, and we have an appointment with Family Promise of Greater Nashua, and here this evening to make a short presentation to the council about who they are and what they do is Ed Hilston and Julie S. Yes. I thought they missed a vowel on your last name, Julia. I wasn't sure. I was asking Tom earlier, but welcome.
Good job.
Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. I'll start if you want.
You can start.
Okay.
Do you want me to pass those out?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Julie. So my name's Ed Hilston. I'm a resident here, long-time resident. I serve on the board for Family Promise of Greater Nashua and also teach financial literacy to the residents there. We house approximately 29 people there at any time, which consists of family units. People at Family Promise of Greater Nashua are experiencing homelessness, and to be a resident there, you need to have children in your family unit. So whatever your family unit is made up of, children with single parents, single fathers, single mothers, mothers and fathers together, etc., whatever that family unit looks like, are available to reside there. It's a temporary residency for these families so that they learn how to get back on their feet again. We teach them the skills in which to get back on their feet, financial skills, parenting skills, other skills that they need to be able to get self-sustaining and to become a contributing part of our society again. I've been on the board there for over 5 years now and been teaching the financial literacy there for almost that same amount of time. We have housed 19 individuals from Merrimack, 12 children and 7 adults. And each week we can't house all homeless people in the southern part of the state, unfortunately, because of the limited space that we have. But we do provide placements for about 20 families weekly throughout Hillsborough and Rockingham counties. So we just wanted you to know what we do. And of course, a place such as this takes funding, and we do feel that we're providing services for people right here in town. So Julie Esp is here. She's also she's our grant writer and grant and development coordinator, and I'll turn the mic over to her for a moment.
What we actually do is we basically transform a family's life. I mean, they come into our program beaten down by everything that goes on in life. They arrive there not necessarily as by their own choice. It's job loss, it's a car accident, and you can't work for 6 months. And most of the things that could happen to any one of us, but they don't have the safety net that some of us have in our families and stuff like that. One of the most interesting things that happened to me a few years ago is we were having a yard sale, and I pulled into the parking lot, and this woman is waving at me and smiling, and I'm like, who is that woman? And when I got out of my car, I realized it was one of our residents who had been with us for 4 or 5 months already, and I'd never seen her smile before. The first thing that they get when they arrive is just a place to take a breath. Food is taken care of, shelter is taken care of, clothing is taken care of. They can get their kids situated in the school system. All of the kids go to the schools that they attended before. They're not changing all of that up. So they just get settled, and then they start working with one of Ed's cohorts, a young woman by the name of Melissa, who not only is our Director of Family Services, she was one of our families at one point. She and her daughter were homeless. They worked the program. She worked through different areas and she's a real tough nut. She holds people accountable for saving their money, making the decisions that they need to make in order to improve their credit and stuff like that. As a transitional housing program, families can stay there for up to a year. And as Ed said, we accept all types of families. Single moms, single dads, pregnant women, grandmothers raising their grandchildren, two-parent families. We are the only transitional housing program in southern New Hampshire that accepts two-parent families and single fathers. Single fathers have nowhere else to go. We're the only one. This year alone, we've had 4 families from the town of Merrimack. In the past, we're a pretty low budget operation because all outside, we have 5 staff people, 2 full-time, our executive director and our family services director, and then 3 part-time staff people who handle all of the fundraising and the grant writing and the volunteer coordination. We operate primarily by volunteers. We have no overnight paid staff that staffs the house 24 hours a day. So we're a pretty low budget operation. Wouldn't you say that, Ed?
Yeah, shoestring, yes.
And at this point in time, we are looking to involve the local communities in our budget because we provide a great service for your welfare departments and for your residents. Because when you come to Anne Marie House, you make a choice to, if you make the choice to work the program, you leave in less than a year with reduced debt, a better paying job, and a career working towards a genuine career with advancement. Your credit score is higher than it was before, and the self-confidence that the individuals have as they've seen the successes of their weekly meetings with Melissa and getting all of their tasks accomplished and reaching their goals and their objectives and their financial plans and their housing plans. And that's the key to the success. Ed is a real hard taskmaster as well when he leads our financial literacy program. And that is one of the big differences between our program and some of the other programs. The other big difference is that we don't have any age restrictions or gender restrictions. If you go to Marguerite's Place or you go to the Front Door Agency, you have to be female, under the age of 45, with children under the age of 12. So even if you're like a 38-year-old mom and you have a 13-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter, you can't access those programs. They also require a 30% fee in basically a rent of 30% of your income. At Anne Marie House, our residents pay their rent to themselves. They are required every pay period to save 70% of their disposable income. Ed oversees this with their weekly bank statement or their monthly bank statements and their receipts and their budgets that they track and their spending. We do not charge anyone to participate in our program. Opting and feeling that it's a better program, teaching them how to save and to manage their own funds so that when they leave, they have 2 savings accounts. They have a long-term savings, and then they have their short-term savings account for emergencies. Some people leave with, depending on their jobs, $5,000 to $10,000 in their accounts. We've had families who've graduated from our program who have purchased homes when they left our program. So it's a really good program. We invite you to come and take a visit. Look at our website. Come down and take a visit. Call the number on the back of the brochure, and you can come down anytime. I suggest that you come at dinner time, because that's the most active time in the house, where you have, 7, 8 families all in a dining room, all around their individual dining tables, preserving the family unit and talking about their days. And it's very hectic, but if you like a little chaos in your life, it's the best time to be there, because the kids are adorable. And that's what it's all about, is the kids, and ensuring that they have a safe, stable home that is going to sustain them long term, and hopefully they will never become homeless. So one of our favorite lines is, every child deserves a home, and you as individuals and as the town council can help us provide homes for these children and these families. So to sum it all up, I'm the grant writer. I deal with private foundations, the state, the local governments, businesses, anybody who's got a grant opportunity, I'm on it. And one of the things that we are embarking on this year is a stronger campaign to the communities that we serve. When you send someone to the Red Roof Inn, it's, I don't know, $60, $70 a month, a night from your welfare department. If your family can get accepted into the Anne Marie House program, we are about $60 a night, but that includes everything. That includes case management, that includes food, shelter, and clothing, that includes internet access, laundry facilities, heat and hot water, compassion, and people to talk to and share your stories. And our families, they become a family unit of their own. So we would, at this point, like to find out, how do we get into your welfare budget, and what the process is for us to do that. Right now, as I said, we have served 11 people from Merrimack in 2018 alone.
Okay.
Pat Murphy is our welfare director.
Uh-huh.
You
That's
need to
what I
talk
was
to her. She takes all the local agencies and the requests from the local agencies, and she has a process she goes through, and then she'll bring that forward in her budget.
Okay.
Pat did have one question.
Yes.
She's tried to get residents from Merrimack into this program from the welfare department, and she has no luck. However, the school has better luck getting people into the program than she does. So if you could talk to her, or have somebody talk
Okay.
to her
Yeah,
about
most
that,
definitely.
that'd be great. But yeah, you need to go through Pat.
Okay.
Pat has a set of guidelines that she's looking for, and she'll bring your request forward to the town council during budget season.
Do you
But
know
you
what
gotta
that-
do it quick,
I was going to say, do you know what that time frame is?
very quick. They're, not even. The departments are getting their budgets tomorrow, hopefully, and then they'll have until right around Veterans Day to get them back to me and Finance Department to
Okay.
put them together. So
All
it's
right.
a quick turnaround.
Thank you, Paul.
I can
Okay.
do that. I operate best under pressure. So it's Pat Murphy, and I will
Yes.
get in touch with her tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
the
And
opportunity
for,
Thank
yeah,
you.
and the
listening.
direction.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Ed.
You too.
Right, we have no public hearings, legislative updates, or no one here this evening. Town manager report.
Thank you.
Welcome.
a copy of the letter that the town council agreed to submit to the Health Trust requesting and permitting them to combine the data with the school and the town to benefit our overall rating has been sent to the school board. I received a call from Marge Chaffrey, the superintendent, today to let me know that they will be taking that up at their next meeting, as we did, as you did. And so they will be meeting, their next meeting is on November 5th. So they'll be
Shannon had
discussing
mentioned
it that time. I just wanted to let you know. So congratulations to John Trithall and Dean Stearns, equipment operators at the Highway Department, who finished second this year in the New England Snowplow Rodeo competition. John and Dean had performed on a written test and driving the obstacle course in a six-wheel dump truck outfitted with plows and in the competition, which is really wonderful. They need to get some accolades.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Watson Park update. The post for the new fencing has been installed around the parking lot for the new parking lot. The brackets to allow for the installation of the 4x4 posts are ordered and should be in soon. And the project should be completed within the next month, which will include an access gate for authorized vehicles, public works, in parentheses, and emergency. The coordination of the installation of the water line, volleyball court, and skating rink is ongoing, and we expect to have the work accomplished within the next month. I also sent you an email, maybe yesterday, that Dawn Tuamala, our town deputy DPW director and engineer, had submitted, as you know, a third application for the Transportation Alternative Plan program called the TAP program to do some of the work that we had not been able to do in the first two programs, which would be to add sidewalks on Woodbury, as well as some on Babuzik Lake Road. I'd like to congratulate her and thank her. So basically what has happened is the first round has gone through, so we've gone through the Nashua Regional Planning Commission, and they submit their number one and two or something to the statewide national, competing with the statewide regional planning commissions to see who will get the funding, which is limited. I think it's around $5 or $6 million, and our project costs approximately $902 approximately. So keep your fingers crossed. It would be a really nice addition, and we've been very successful in the past in getting these applications. Thank you.
All right. There's nothing on the consent agenda, no old business, and under new business, the council is to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $5,000 from the Digital Federal Credit Union to the Merrimack Fire Department to be used towards fire rescue or hazardous materials equipment pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15. And here this evening is Chief. How are you?
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here again in front of the council. Haven't seen you guys in a while. How y'all been? And Barbara, I'm sorry I missed you at the open house.
No
I think it's the first one I've missed in 30 years. So, we have three donations that I'll be bringing forward tonight, and the first one is from the Digital Credit Union, and what they are graciously offered is a donation of $5,000 to go towards anything that we deem necessary for fire rescue, fire prevention. We haven't earmarked anything for these monies at this point in time because we have some large donations and some smaller donations. So talking to Paul, we're going to try to put these together to come up with a more substantial lump of money in the account so we can look at something that's really substantial to purchase. And that could be anywhere between replacing some of our ice rescue equipment to one of the items that we've been looking at for a few years is a fire extinguisher training program that's all computer-based, but that's around $20,000. So we're looking at kind of putting this funds together to see if we can accumulate, and maybe when we do that, the price may come down, or we're looking with some other surrounding communities to see if we can go in and get a few of those at a better deal.
Very good. Anybody have any questions?
And that's on all three of the, but I'd like to talk to the other two also, if I could.
Yeah. Bill? Will you be, when you've come up with the conclusion of what you would like to make a purchase of, when you have the funds available, will you be bringing that to us?
Yes, we will
before-
be bringing
Yeah.
that for you, because I think that's, the people who donate the money should have that in a public
Yeah,
record,
very
noting
good.
what their money is going to, and we should honor those people that way for that donation.
Absolutely. Yeah, this
Yes.
is another good one.
100%.
Tom?
One quick question. Chief, did this particular donation from Digital come from something specific, or is this an annual event, or is it just out of the blue that they wanted to make a donation of $5,000?
This is the second year we've received this, so last year we brought forward to you for the blowhard, what a name, exhaust fans, if you remember, if you recall that. We were- We joked about
We
that
know
for a while.
fans.
Yeah.
And, and this year they came again, so we're hoping it'll be an annual thing, so we can, again, like I was saying, accumulate some funds to buy some of those higher dollar items that will benefit not only fire rescue, but the community.
Oh, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
A motion by Counsel Boyd, seconded by Counselor Thornton. Any further discussion on your motion?
Speaks for itself, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill.
And
Barbara?
of course, we'll send a thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barbara.
There you go,
But
Hey, they're right there going. So, all right, if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. That's 700. Thank you, Chief. The next, and thank Digital. The next item under new business is the council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $50 from resident Lucille Walker to the Merrimack Fire Department to be used towards fire rescue or hazardous materials equipment pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
A motion by Council Boyd, seconded by Tom Thornton. Chief, if you'd like to speak to
Just
that.
kind of quick here, that we have started, again, from Lucille here, a donation because of, she was very happy and pleased with the service that the fire department gave. We advised her that we don't have to take donations because we're here for the citizens of the community, but she was very adamant about giving to the department
very kind.
because of what we gave to her. She had a gas spill in her garage that was rather large, very nervous, kind of, as any would be, gasoline. The fire crews responded there and cleaned up everything, moved stuff out of her garage, cleaned up underneath all the benches, took care of what had to be done. And they would do that for anybody, but she was very thankful and wanted to donate the $50 to the town.
That's very kind. Yep, absolutely. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 700. And then lastly, for the chief, that is, under new business, is the council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $30 from Paul and Beverly Demorgian to the Merrimack Fire Department, and I hope I pronounced their name correctly, in memory of Merrimack Lieutenant Paul Mondo, to be used towards fire rescue or hazardous materials equipment pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15.
And again, this is in memory of Lieutenant Paul Mondu, who lost his life in a motorcycle accident. He was a very, 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 I'm going to say it again, very dedicated man to this community. He served this community without question. Anytime I asked, he was always there. Anytime we wanted him to volunteer, he was always there. The Merrimack High School football program has a loss here because Paul and Lieutenant Mondu and Tim Dutton always volunteered with the ambulance. They were always up there giving their time for football games. So this $30 is in his memory, and I would probably say that more will be coming in the future, but I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Paul for what he has done for this community, and I'm very proud to say that he was a lieutenant on our Merrimack Fire Department.
Thank you, Chief. Peter?
And Chief, to follow up, yeah, Paul was very dedicated. He was a leader on the technology committee for years, He showed up and did a lot of hard work.
Very good.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Counsel Boyd, seconded by Tom Thornton. Any further discussion on your motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained, it's 7-0-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, next item, number 4, under new business. The council to consider the acceptance and I'm sorry? Oh, night, Chief.
Good night, Chief.
Acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $5,000 from the Merrimack Youth Association basketball program to the Parks and Recreation Department for the purchase and installation of 2 basketball hoops to replace existing hoops in the parking lot at Twin Bridge Park pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The MYA approached Matt Kasparis, Parks and Rec Director. The basketball hoops that sit at the MYA parking at the end of the MYA parking lot are getting a little old and long in the tooth, so to speak. They really liked what happened with the donation that we got from the gentleman down at Wasserman Park, the basketballs, hoops. They'd like to put 2 of those hoops to replace the 2 hoops that are there now, and they'll be more functional for younger kids and older kids to be able to raise it up if you have a younger kid there to shoot baskets. And they would like to put them in the exact same spot, but that's what this donation has come forward.
Thank you, Paul. Bill?
Just a question, I guess, how would our acceptance of this impact our long-term vision for the Twin Bridge Kids Cove Park? Because I know conceptually, both at our retreat and conversations here, we've talked about moving the basketball court from that front parking lot and looking to put it behind. And it's not that I don't want, I think this is tremendous generosity, so I don't want to diminish the generosity of the MYA. I'm just thinking, how does this impact our long-term vision for what we want to do there?
Well, I was thinking the same thing, but then I realized you just pick them up and move them.
Right. You just,
Yeah. So it's not,
the post.
they're not gonna be doing the pavement or doing anything there, it's just the hoops, so we'll just move them.
So are they mobile, or are they going to be,
They'll be installed in a pad, a concrete pad, but
Yeah.
you can pick that up and move it,
okay,
then you can move it. You can
Okay,
move the
fair
pole. It's just like if you if you had one at your house and you moved, you pick it up and you can
Yeah.
move it, so.
So I think we'll be good. Because my immediate thought was that, but then I'm going, wait a minute, I just dig them out of the ground and put some.
no, I understand that, I mean, we're putting it in, but at some point, they gotta, okay, fair enough. Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by, very good. Sorry, Tom. Motion by Counselor Boyd.
It's an all play.
Seconded by Counselor Healy. Any further discussion on your motion, Bill? Or anybody? No?
Res ipsa loquitur, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed and abstained, it's 7-0-0. Next item on the agenda under new business, the council's requested to contemplate budget parameters for the 2019-2020 budget season, which will be discussed up in the very near future.
May I speak? Hello. Hi. I wanted to, this is especially for your new counselors. Every year before we begin the budget process, we come to you for direction on, we come and tell you the things that we know that are coming up. for increases or decreases or extra revenue or whatever it is, so that you can take a look at it and give me some direction or thought on on what you would like me to, how you'd like us to proceed as we're going through the budget. Because what we like to do, Paul and I, take the budgets and we don't just pass them along to you. You'll see a lot of cuts there before they get to you. So here are some of the things that we know that are coming up for the next year's budget. We received a guaranteed maximum rate, GMR, of 10.1% in health insurance. We'll get into the numbers of what these mean later. And why don't we move right into those? Yeah. So, anyway, here's the same thing, but with the numbers associated with it. So the health insurance, 10.1 guaranteed maximum rate, results in a $330,000 increase. It may be, I'm hearing that the rate may be a little bit lower than that, but it's 10.1%. The property and liability increase is minimal, 0.9%, $2,000. STD stands for short-term disability. It is a decrease of 13%, or $17,000. Workers' compensation has gone up 21%, and I think we've been expecting that. We went over that last year about how we were able to get into the program where through Primex we could have rates set for a certain number of years, but we weren't eligible for the workers' compensation aspect of it because our claims were so high. And again, we have a very diligent, what are they called? Safety Committee, Joint Loss Committee, Safety Committee, who review things. I think Councilor Albert's been on it before, the Joint Loss Committee. And they review each one of these, you don't do the workers' comp though, right? Property and you don't, I think I'm talking about the wrong thing. I think you look at property and liability claims. You don't look at workers' comp claims. I misspoke.
Well, the Joint Loss Safety Committee did do that. They reviewed injuries and how they happened.
Yeah, and whether or not you needed to fix something or.
Yeah, and see if they could remediate
So I did
whatever
have
the
that
issue
right.
was.
I did have that right for the
Yes,
first
you did.
time. Okay. So this is the result of some really bad luck. Some really catastrophic claims. One person I know was out for a year, and then he was out for another 6 months with another accident. So, and now he's out again. So anyway, there was a very small decrease in New Hampshire retirement, which was a very big surprise to us. We thought that would continue to go up. They do the rating for 2 years in a row, so we can be assured that the rates won't be increasing the following year either. That's going to be, even though it's a small decrease percentage-wise, it was a significant dollar amount of $107,000. We have one union contract that's still under contract. 5 are unsettled. We're in the process of just barely beginning to talk at this point with the other 5, but one contract has 1 year remaining, and that has been approved by the public. And that's going to cost $71,000, as indicated in the warrant article that it was on. We generally look at non-union wage increases, and that's up to you, so we leave that there for you to think about with question marks. Voting booths, what did you get for information on that?
It's 19 booths.
19 booths, 19 new booths? I can't read it.
It's 19 new booths.
19 new booths, and which is a is a part of a program that you started last year to replace and to fix up some of the voting booths that actually was something that was Councilor Koenig's suggestion. It was.
Councilor Koenig wasn't after the voting booths, he was after the voting counting machines.
Oh, okay.
That's right,
Those are
that's right,
fixed
they
too.
were.
But those voting
See.
booths, I'm kind of wondering if we could put it off for another year or two. We can have that discussion later. The quality of those things is really questionable in my mind. And that's the only reason I'm putting that out right now. But
Yeah,
we'll talk about it
absolutely,
later.
Certainly. Solid waste recycling, as we know, we had a 3-year contract with that, and the reason that it's going up is because, as we discussed last year, when the rate went up significantly, we have to pay for they pick the recycling materials up, they take them away, and then they charge us a certain amount of money, whereas before, we used to get a little bit of money, now we pay.
Eileen, and I know this is maybe something to look into by solid
Peter?
waste. Maybe we can have solid waste look into it as the budget process goes on, but, and I know a lot of communities are going away from, which I'm kind of surprised, but glass in their recycling. And I don't know if that affects the fees, if we take glass out of the recycling, will the recycling centers take them at a lower cost?
Well, we actually belong to a, kind of like a consortium, who does the sourcing out of the various products, because as you know, we do single stream recycling here. So we were able to get in on a really good rate. Maybe for the future, glass might be something, but we have, not only do we have this next year that we're talking about, but also the year after. So, you know, we got locked into a very good rate, and some of the other communities that have just been kind of doing it on the fly have gotten some really large rates, to the point of like what you said, they can't even take glass anymore because it costs more than regular trash, which is very much of a shame. So, and the reason they say is because there's such a large amount of recyclable recycling done now that there really isn't as hot a market for it as it once was. So it's still, even though it's costing us a little bit more, it's still less than the tipping fees for regular trash, and the tipping fees, which are the disposal costs of the solid waste, does not include transportation to the facility and disposal. It just,
It's just the removing of the trash.
it's just removing of the trash.
The tonnage.
And
Right.
we
We have to pay for everything else.
So Eileen, I know my husband's going to drop on the floor when I say this, but because I'm a big recycler.
Shall we call
Would
the
it
fire
be
department
cheaper?
first?
Yeah. Send in my house. Would it be cheaper to stop the recycling program and just have, I know you
Not even
touched on it or
close.
began to go there, but in my mind, it would be cheaper to maintain. Okay.
Go ahead.
Just making sure that I'm understanding how that works, because when you look at the cost to haul the trash and then the cost, it's not like they're paying us to get our recyclables. We're paying them to get them. So it seems counterintuitive, but
It does, but it hasn't reached that point yet.
Okay.
So it still is cheaper.
to maintain the
so-
recycling.
Yeah, so it costs, what's the
Yeah, what's
number?
a ton of recycling now?
So it costs us, it now costs $55.50 for us
Disposal recycling.
wait a minute. So it costs $55.50 for them to actually come and pick it up at the transfer station and make it disappear.
Mhm.
But for what we call our tipping fees for our regular trash, it's going up $1, which you'll see in a minute, up to $69.50. And then there's the transportation and the overhead of the transfer station
Right.
that goes along with it. So I don't have the calculations on how much that adds, but it's,
It's always been over $100.
yeah, it's been over
Yeah.
$100, as
120
opposed
some is what I thought,
to
right?
$55 a ton.
Because I thought that a couple of years ago, so maybe.
Yeah.
that
It
makes
may
sense.
come a time, unfortunately, when,
Oh, I
It
think
isn't, but
it's
we look
worth
at
it to, you know, look at all possibilities and to ensure that we're going with the route,
yes,
you know, that's cheapest for the budget.
yes, we have. So, anything else on that? No?
No,
Okay.
good.
So, and then the next thing is the tipping fees that we were just talking about, which is the taking the disposal costs of the regular trash. So we take in about 8,500 tons, and it's going up $1 a ton. So we have that very long-term contract that was very lucrative.
Yeah, that was a good
and I-
job. You did a good job on that one.
Thank you. So I think we have maybe 3 years left on it.
Should
And
we
we
start talking to
have,
them early like you did the last time?
It's a fair question.
yeah, I don't know. I like to negotiate. So then there's the question, and we always ask this question because we never take it upon ourselves to decide what you're going to use to offset the tax rate. So you've been using $450,000. We've put it in there. It's if you decide not to do it, again this year, it'll be an additional 13 cents. If you do it, it'll be zero effect. So then the school resource officer, I believe the grant ends in September, so it's 3/4 of a year that we'd be picking up for the school resource officer because for the grant. And that is with salary and benefits for 3/4 of the year, $84,750.
I'm sorry, Barbara.
What happens to the resource officer when school closes or during vacation time?
School
Because it
res-
says it's 3/4 of the year, so,
The school
That's what's-
resource officer, the reason why I think the council agreed to pay for it
Right.
is because the school resource officer is a police officer. And so the police department, if they need him or if he is not, and Peter probably can answer this better than I, but when he's not, he doesn't get, 2 weeks vacation or the summer off.
I just wanted to put that out there so
Right.
everyone understands
Yes.
what happens to this
He's a-
person
he's a
during,
regular
when
police
school isn't
officer.
in session.
Peter's got an answer.
And it's a great question, Barbara, and my familiarity is that they put that officer to work, whether he continues to work, they work with the kids in the camps, they go to all the different preschools, they assist the patrol division, they pretty much a jack of all trades for the summer, so they do keep them working.
And also, the 3/4 is because that's, the grant will cover a quarter, 25% of our year's budget, so.
And then the big question marks on the 5 union contracts that are coming up before us. So if you look at all those things together, they come to 27 cents. And if I may be so bold, I would assume that you would use the $450,000 again, and you can go back. You can take another 13. You can take 13 cents off of that. So 14 cents. And that's what we know. We haven't looked at revenues to any great extent. We haven't looked at new value, although we think that a good part of the Flatley property will be coming online in terms of additional value, which, did you talk to Lauren about that?
20 million.
Yeah, so it's only 20 million. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but in terms of when you have a $3.4 billion value for the town, 20 million doesn't make that much of an impact on a decrease in the tax rate. So,
Bill?
Eileen, I should have prepped you ahead of time, and I apologize. Do you anticipate sitting down with the council offline to have a philosophical discussion regarding the union contracts?
Yes, we will.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
I know historically when we did this a couple of years ago, we had talked before the budget season to kind of get an idea of Okay,
Well, what we've done so far, basically, is to just have our initial session.
okay.
We've said nothing because we have no direction. We haven't sought direction. We're working on looking at all various aspects of it right now and getting some information from other communities and that kind of thing. So as you know, what we normally do, we'll come forward with some thoughts for you, and you can give me direction.
Bill still.
Eileen, I'm sorry, I lost my question and I got it back. Regarding the fund balance, if we use the 450,000, where are we going to remain with our fund? And how does that relate in terms of your percentage that you like to keep to maintain a healthy,
Will be great.
will be good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eileen, I noticed there was no mention of any infrastructure projects, like any roadway stuff, and I know that Pearson Road, I know that there was discussion at Pearson Road, the reconstruction of that. Is that gonna fall into the upcoming fiscal year?
I understand that it is, yes. There was, as you had discussed with Kyle, there were various water line things that were going on there, and they didn't want to start ripping it up. They're very, very much aware of what needs to be done. And this doesn't include what is already being spent. So, obviously, every year it starts all over again. So if you have $500,000 plus money in a capital reserve fund, then every year it's new roads. So.
But that's with the CIP, right?
That's for the CIP,
Okay.
Capital Improvements Program.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
No, let Tom go.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you already started, so.
Is DPW going to begin to present the council with numbers as it relates to the MS4 permit?
Yes, it's already been looked at, and some numbers have been estimated, and the numbers have been submitted into the state and the federal government. So what, when we get right down to it, that's what I said. I would like to know what we're looking at in terms of costs, literal costs, not in-kind costs or, things that our staff can already do or things that our staff's already doing, sweeping and that kind of thing. So what I have gathered from Dawn is that this first year will be a lot of the work will be mapping out of the outfalls around town, and they will be done primarily by the engineering interns that we have who've been invaluable to us over the years. So we anticipate that will probably be the first year. The second year, I think she said, no, this year she said it would be the interns and herself. Next year will be the interns and herself. The third year, it's potential that we could need to hire another employee at DPW, a maintainer kind of thing, to clean out drains and do various things that are required, that they already do, but they need to, basically enhance whatever's being done. So the first several years, it'll be, establishing what those outfalls are that need to be looked at. Then testing will be done to see if what contaminants might be in there, and then again monitoring again to see if the contaminants have increased or decreased. So I'm not terrified by it anymore, because I have some we've put some thought into it. You know, there are numbers that have gone to the federal government that are accurate, but I want to know literal, you know, not what, yeah, not speculation, but real, you know, real thinking about what it might cost.
When we talked about this in 2012, when we were introduced to this, we were given. Exactly. And we're only just beginning right now to scratch the surface with this. And I don't think we're going to see the real impact for like maybe year 3 or year 4. But this is the beginning. This is what, you know, this is why, you know, Kyle, and it was Kyle that, you know, issued the call back in 2012 that we needed to act on this. Otherwise, it was going to impact us, so. I just wanted to put it out there to my colleagues to know that this is coming.
So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I
Thank
think
you.
it's been on people's mind. But I know it's been on mine. Apparently Dawn's going to come before you in November to give you some updates. And she'll give you the $3 million over the next 3-year number. But once you separate the wheat from the chaff as to what actually the expenses are going to be, I got her down to where the real rubber meets the road.
So I have a question. So just to clarify, that .27 effective tax rate, that's with that fund balance in there. If you take that
Without.
out, then it's
Oh, I'm sorry.
.40, correct?
No. What it is if you continue to use $450,000 of your fund balance,
Yeah.
there will be no effect. So,
So what's up with the .13 next to it?
$450,000 is 13 cents on the tax rate. So what it's saying is that if you continue to, what I'm saying to you, is if you continue to use $450,000 to reduce the tax rate, that 27 cents will go down another 13 cents.
So wouldn't that be in the negative with the parentheses? Why would you have it as a positive?
Because it's a positive, because we're making we can't assume that you're going to use that $450,000. It wouldn't ever be a negative, because you're already using it, and it's in the calculations for the tax rate already. So if you do it again, it won't have any effect, but it won't have an additional 13 cents.
I just think it's confusing keeping that in there right now, that's all.
Well, we always do, because it's not our.
And I get confused every time. I'm
Huh?
just saying. I get confused every time, just saying. So that brings it from .27 down to .14.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. No, just clarification. Thank you.
Anything further? No? Is that it?
Yeah.
Easy.
So, any
Scary
thoughts? Any thoughts?
Oh, it's gonna
Keep
be a
it
lot of
low.
work this year,
Keep
yeah,
it low,
yeah.
right? Get some stuff done, but
I like
keep it
the
as low as you can.
2017 tax rate, but
Mm.
we can shoot close to there. I'd be happy.
Well, can always try and do that.
Do you know,
That's what the.
you know
Yeah.
that we do
everything.
everything we can
Right.
to keep it as low
And
as,
we talk about
while we,
level.
while we also progress. You know, I mean, there are roads that need to be done, there are bridges that need to be done, and you've been very diligent about that. And I think the public appreciates those kinds of things the most, because they can literally see them and they use them, and they're, you know.
And that's what, in the future, we'll be looking at the CIP as well. And I know in the past, those are things that we have modified on occasion. That instead of spending 500,000, we'll spend 450 or whatever. So those are areas that we can keep in mind, because we still have to deal with union contracts. We have to find out what that's gonna do, because that's going to add on, and we're gonna have to
Right.
keep that in mind in terms of balancing the CIP with this.
Why looking at me?
Well, I'm just newbie in Barbara.
We have a great negotiator on those contracts, just saying.
Yeah, we do, but it's still, it's
still a cost.
it's still a cost factor, that's right.
Barbara?
Also, as we go through this process, I think it would be important for either of you to really explain what the fund balance is and where that money is coming from and how it works to improve the tax rate for our citizens in town. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that's going on behind the scenes even before the rate comes out.
I'd be very happy to do that, and I think it is confusing, and I think it would be very helpful to people to see.
Yeah, my only insight that I would give you and Paul, Eileen, is just to make sure that we're not backstepping on any of the things that we've made gains in regarding, like, and I heard you say roads, but, the parks and Wasserman, and, as long as we're planning for it and we're thoughtful about it, I don't feel that we're gonna regress in that area, but it's really important that we put together, at least from my perspective, that a budget that reflects the quality of life issues that this body has committed itself to over the last couple of years. I don't wanna lose that momentum. I think we've made good strides in that area. So, thank you.
I just figured out this evening why I miss Bill pretty regularly when he's looking to speak. It's because it's like being at an auction. He's just going, and just, but anyhow. So.
One of these.
So, all right, we're all set there. I presume everybody's good. We'll then move on to our final item under new business, and
Go,
that's the
Paul.
budget schedule for the 2019-20 budget.
I can't believe we're already talking about the budget season. It seems like yesterday we were here finalizing it.
We were. It was yesterday.
So for the council, next month, probably the November 15th meeting, hopefully we'll have the CIP available and we'll bring it to the council for your review of the CIP. In December, the town manager comes before the council and gives her overview of what her budget is, her presentation for the budget. You get your budget binders and you get your little USB drive. That is a fully operational budget that you guys can make changes on, and it'll show effects and everything else as you go through. If you want to cut something out of budget, move a number here or there, raise something in there, will actually give you an effect of what the tax rate would be. That comes out in December. In January, we start talking, on January 7th, we start having our budget meetings at 6 p.m. And there's been a little change this year. I moved welfare with police and the fire department to kick off the budget season on the 7th. Then on the 14th, we'll deal with library, solid waste, highway, equipment maintenance, wastewater, building and grounds, and public works administration. Basically, besides the library, DPW will be the second meeting. And then the third meeting will be the departments that are left: assessing, town clerk, parks and rec, the summer day camp, community development, media, general government. I don't believe there will be any proposed issuance of debt, but if there is, we'll talk about that. And we'll go over our revenues. And we'll have, on that night, we'll have an in-depth discussion about the next steps of the budget process. But also, I got to bring to light, there's been a change in the law on the default budget. So on the 17th, I'll bring forward what the change in the law is, and because it's a different process. Nothing more.
Last year, we had to
Right.
finagle
Right, a little bit. But the default budget, we've been kind of upfront with our default budget. This is what's going, this is increases, decreases. The state law now says you need to do that. So we'll bring that forward as a discussion. I have highlighted, as you see, I have highlighted certain dates: January 2nd, January 10th, the 17th, and the 27th. If the town council is looking to make a charter change, those are important dates to keep in mind. As you know, last year on RSA 3510, which dealt with how we handle the capital reserve funds in the budget, we can no longer include our capital reserve funds in our budget. They have to either be individual warrant articles or one lump sum warrant article for the putting the money into our capital reserve funds, our deposits. If the town council so chooses to go back to the way we've been doing it for my 14 years, and before that, 20 years of the prior town finance director, is keeping it in the budget, we'd need to do a charter change. if the town council so chooses to do that, or if they want to follow the current law, we can follow the current law. It's up to the town council.
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes.
Just to make sure I understand, so, in the past, we've always put our capital reserve funds as part of the budget.
Correct.
Expenditures,
Correct.
part of the budget. Because of the new law, we would have to have different articles explaining those capital reserve funds expenditures.
Deposits. Deposits
not
into,
expenditures,
not
just
expenditures,
deposits.
because you are agents to expend on
There
all
you go.
capital reserve funds except one, and that is the fire capital reserve fund. And we're gonna change that and actually just have a warrant article requesting the town to make you agents to expend on the fire capital reserve fund. But all the other capital reserve funds, you are.
Deposits. Oh,
Expenditures,
we can do it.
you can do in the budget. It's the deposits into them that you have to do a separate
Okay,
warrant
but
article.
if we do a charter change, giving us the authority to do that as part of the budget, that could be done too.
That could be done, but that will not take effect
Until
until
the
the
next year.
following budget, so it won't take
So-
effect until
so
2021.
This year, we would have to include in the budget, the election, the capital reserve fund deposits, and possibly a charter question.
Correct.
That will be taking effect next year.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why the big dates are the announcement of the public hearing, the January 10th public hearing date, the 17th to submit it,
Gotcha.
and that's why I highlighted those dates this year. There's always been discussion about, oh, we want to maybe make a change, how do we do it? We included in the budget draft of the schedule here.
Gotcha.
And as we keep going down,
I just wanted to be clear about what Paul was just talking about. So the charter change would actually be the one where we put the deposits in. So, yeah, because our charter refers to an RSA, and most town council forms of government or city government, have different language in their charters. And the other one would not need to be a charter change, but it's a change, as you know, as each capital reserve fund gets established, it needs to have the language in there about all the authority as well as everything that goes, can go in, or come out, I should say.
so because of the way January falls, we built in 2 snow dates this year.
It's not gonna-
Hopefully, like in years past, I'm not going to say it, but there's 2 snow dates built into this, this budget process in case we need them. In February, we'll have our public hearing on the 14th, the regularly scheduled council meeting. At Valentine's Day, I get to spend with you guys.
Can I go back and ask, you said you put in snow dates, but those are the dates that we're gonna actually do the finalization of the operating budget recommendation?
Yeah,
Or-
if we don't have any snow dates with the department review, we'll go through and finalize on those dates. Those are used as finalizations, it's a snow
So
date
one of
slash
those days is
finalization.
actually intended to be
Right,
a
they're not
a real
posted
date,
days.
not
Right.
necessarily a snow date.
Yeah, right. If we go through and no snow, we'll finalize on the 28th of January. If we have a snow date or 2, we'll be finalizing on the 31st, no matter what. We have to.
Right, the 28th is not a snow date, it is a date for finalization.
It's labeled as,
Potentially. Right.
but the 28th is
Right.
listed as snow day.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
it's-
snow
it's a-
date if we don't have snow on the other 2 meetings. If we don't have snow on the.
If we
this-
have 2 snow dates, it actually snows, we're in trouble.
Right, but the first one is the date that we'll be finalizing the budget. But if it snows, then the 31st will be the
No, no,
snow
no.
date.
If, yes and no.
If it snows, the snow
Once you're
date,
done.
the snow date will be the day that it snows. Okay? So if it snows on one of the dates, then that will be the snow date. If it does not snow on whatever
It doesn't
date,
matter. I'm all good.
okay,
Tell us when it's
pick
due.
one, we're covered, unless there's 2 big snowstorms on both those dates, then we'll have to rethink it.
Okay. I don't
We'll
even have to
figure it out then,
continue.
okay?
No.
I-
We'll
Okay,
let you
you wanna-
know.
go ahead.
We'll let you know, let the public know well in advance.
No, of course.
What days we're planning on having the meetings.
We all know what we're talking about.
Wait a minute.
They don't know.
They don't
I know
what
the
we're
snow
talking
date
about.
would have to be, the regular date for the finalization would have to be before the 28th, if the 28th is a snow
It's a
date.
snow day.
All right, I'm good.
Good.
I agree
Okay.
with you.
I
Who's on
agree.
first? On
We
the
know what we're
14th, we'll be having the public hearing. And then on March,
What did, I mean,
on February 14th, Valentine's Day, we'll be having our public hearing. I expect candy and flowers on that day. Our school deliberative session tentatively is the first Wednesday, Thursday of March. Our deliberative session is the 13th of March, and if needed, the 14th of March. So our deliberative sessions will be the 13th, 14th of March.
So. we
And
will-
then a vote would be in April, April 9th.
So the 14th, we won't have a regular council meeting if it's,
If the deliberative session is continued, or if it snows on the 13th, we'll have the deliberative session on the 14th. And then the regular council meeting will, depending on where we are, either you could have it after the meeting, or you can, once again, you could cancel that meeting.
all right,
So,
okay.
this is a tentative schedule. I'm
Right.
still waiting. I sent it off to the attorneys for their review.
Okay,
They
time.
might tweak a day here or there, or a date here or there. But, like I said, I've been doing this 14 years, so we're pretty sure that these are the dates that we're gonna hit and go forward with.
2006 was the only goof up that I know of. That was an election, that wasn't a town meeting.
No, that was the election.
This might be a premature question,
It is.
but as usual, I'll ask it anyway. The charter, if we were to do a charter amendment, we'd have to have an attorney write it up, right?
We,
With the assistance of an attorney.
Assistance of an attorney.
Okay. When would that probably be proposed, in January or December?
That would have to be proposed in December.
Okay.
Probably that
I just
December
wanted a
20th meeting.
timeline.
and,
Because it
you know,
has to
if
be
you could
made
just,
public on January 2nd.
Right, but it would, we'd have to be able to develop it prior to that time.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Really?
Yes,
you're not the chair anymore.
I know, but I can ask a question whether I'm chair or not.
I'm just kidding you, Nancy, you know that.
We let her do it, because we
But,
appreciate it.
but anyway, I'll snap
ahead.
too, though. I guess what I would say is that I believe that's your desire to, move forward with it. So it would just be a matter of us, working up the language and that kind of thing, so.
And that's exactly why I'm asking.
And you're talking
Okay.
about the,
That's exactly.
Funding the capital reserve funds and all that. You're
Correct,
talking
to
about
be
that.
able to
Putting the
have the
money into 'em.
authority to do the deposits for the capital reserve funds. And although it
That's part of
occurs
the
in
budget.
January, I would think in December, we'd have to have that developed by the town and the attorney.
Yeah.
To
in time.
have that already is all I'm asking.
Yep.
And
Or
granted,
sooner, I don't
these
know.
dates in yellow are the drop dead dates.
Exactly, that's why I'm thinking
So
December.
if you want, if for some instance we get it done earlier in December and you want to have the public hearing in December, you can do that.
Exactly.
These are the drop dead dates. These are the last day that anything could possibly happen on a charter change,
Yeah.
to get it through the state.
So maybe at some point we can put it on the agenda?
Yes, no, absolutely.
It's 3510.
All right. Does anybody have any questions about the schedule, or is everybody good? Thank you, Paul. All right, minutes, October 11th minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Thursday, October 11, 2018 Town Council meeting minutes with the following modifications.
Yes, sir.
On page I apologize. There we go, sorry. Page 13. starting at line 28 through line 31, Counselor Albert was speaking and had made reference to his disappointment regarding Representative Barry's assertions regarding short-sightedness. However, there's not a paragraph before that illustrates the conversation of Representative Barry talking about that short-sightedness. So there's a contextual issue that's missing. So at line 27, if context could be added regarding the comments made by Representative Barry at that particular point, it would add clarity to Counselor Albert's comments at line 28. On page 17, line 30, I did not abstain. I went down in flames. The motion carried 610, not 601.
Where's that one, Bill? What page? I'm sorry. I was
Page
still reading.
17, line 30. And then on page 18, line 6, it indicates that Councilor Harrington stepped out of the room. There was a motion, that the motion carried 600. At line 24, another motion was made, and the motion carried 700. There is no line indicating when Councilor Harrington returned to the chambers, and therefore there should be a notation as such. I didn't ask why you left, it's just I know that you returned. And the record needs to reflect that Councilor Harrington returned to the chambers. Returned to the chambers. Otherwise, that's all I had.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody have any other changes or alterations? Could I have a second on the motion, on Councilor Boyd's motion? Motion by Councilor Boyd, seconded by Tom Thornton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. 700. Comments from the press in public? Comments from the council? Barbara?
We have an election in 2 weeks, so are we going to follow the same process we did for the primary?
Yes, timing, what it,
If you like, I can make up a schedule.
you'd like to do that?
Sure, thank you, Barbara.
We can make our wishes known right now.
Yeah.
Takes 2 seconds.
Okay.
Bill, what are your opportunities?
Election day is always a holy day of obligation for me, so I'm available all day in preference JMUs, so that I can escort my bride to vote at that day. Thank you.
Peter?
Yeah, I'm available during the day and evening, so
That's all.
JMU's or middle school.
Tom Thornton?
So I can do what I did last time, 4 to 7, and I can do the evening at middle school.
Middle?
Yeah, because no one likes to go there. But me and Peter and Barbara.
Are you around on?
Yeah, I'll be around for the election.
Okay, so Tom and I, St. John?
Yeah.
So Tom and I will do St. John Newman.
I'll let you
We'll
guys
work
figure it
between the
out.
two of us. And if you want to do a little switcheroo, Barbara,
Yeah?
Well,
Switcheroo, that's official.
If people want to
that's
move,
right.
That's okay, I'll go back to the middle school.
But I'm saying if
She
you
likes the
want to
company
be able to
better.
do different parts, I'm willing to swap with you as well.
Okay.
So we
During
can
the day.
talk about an
Okay.
individual.
Yep.
So you guys are all set. And me, I do JMUs, and I do morning until about 10 o'clock, and then I normally come back around 3. But can be there most of the day as a rule anyhow.
Okay, I'll just,
And then also, if we need further help, Tom Mahon has
Mhm.
voiced his availability, and he
Good.
does St. John Newman as well, so.
okay.
yeah, so I'll move, or Nancy will move to a different, to JMU's or
Okay,
something.
so I don't know
Do
if,
some moving
if you
around.
want to make contact with him as far as, you know, if he might be available,
Touching
but I
base with
told,
him?
I spoke to him yesterday, actually,
Okay.
so, yeah,
So
people
if you like, I can just put a little brief notes together and send them
that'd be
out.
perfect, yeah.
That way everybody knows where everybody is.
And again, I just want to remind people that when you get there, talk with the moderator about designation if you need it. If you get there early and you know who the designated person is going to be, it's a lot easier. Okay, I'm leaving. And everyone knows who because it can get really busy. I have a feeling It's gonna be a very busy day.
I do too.
Certainly compared to last time.
Absolutely.
I do too.
So, knowing that and knowing what works. In fact, they're interested, they're curious to see what's gonna happen with the middle school, because this will be the first high profile while school is in session. We've had presidential there, but the school was closed.
Right.
So this is gonna be the middle school, probably high attendance while the school's in session, so they're curious as to
Yeah.
piece of cake.
I don't think
Is there-
it's a problem.
Hopefully it won't be,
That's what I was gonna say.
but it's the first time.
We can talk about it later. I was parking and everything, I didn't know. Because,
I mean, it works out well.
yeah,
but
all right,
again,
and
it's
I've never
just
been
gonna
up there
be-
during an election, so I can't speak to any experience.
You've never been up where?
I've never stopped up to the middle school during an election.
During the
day.
presidential, it worked very well. It was very busy.
The middle
I
school
did
you're
work
talking
at the
about,
middle
not the upper
school.
elementary, okay.
I did work in the middle school, and it was, if you remember the last election, it was extremely busy. And it was the peak time, like at 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish. And then, that was the really peak, very difficult time. There were lines. But again, there was no school, so they were able to line up in the hallway. Now that there's school, the only entrance will be from the parking lot.
It could get cold.
So they are talking about modifying the setup to make it more efficient, and I suggest that's true. There was a lot of open space that they could have maneuvered, so it was much more efficient.
And I was thinking, I can chat with Paul or just somebody. I didn't know if parking might, I know the teachers, I believe, park
Park
over
down.
at the Legion, I believe.
For here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know if they
And at
could
the
park
middle
at the
school, they
field. I
park
don't know if
down
that.
at the field.
They park at Bishop, at the field.
Okay, they already do that, so yeah, good, all right.
Would it not be prudent to have the town moderator come to talk to us on November 1st, outlining what the plans are gonna be for the 3 election polls, so that everybody here who's gonna be working at these individual polls can have an understanding of what the expectation is?
It's all the same.
I understand that, but
If she thinks it would be beneficial,
Yeah,
you know,
there
so
you
you might
go.
reach out to her,
There you
that
go.
would be,
okay,
If she feels the need.
fair enough, no, fair enough.
I was delegating that to you, Paul, but I. I'm gonna make a note to myself, right? Okay. Any further comments from the code? Paul, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I hate to do this, but when we were talking about Representative Barry, I think there's another problem in the minutes earlier on page 13, line 6. At the very end, it says, it's talking about Councilor Wheeler. And at the very end of that sentence, he stated his disappointment in council. Councilor Wheeler never stated that. That was Council.
No, you're right,
Representative
I
Barry.
didn't see that.
So if we put Representative Barry there, that kind of plays into what you said about Councilor Albert.
That's-
So,
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, I
so
agree with that.
everybody's okay with
It's a
that?
friendly
We'll just do
amendment
that.
to the.
Yep, I have no issues with that.
We can do that? Does that work?
I just didn't want.
Yeah, no, very appreciate it.
Nope, that makes sense. Yep, okay, good, thank you.
So
Motion to
everybody's good.
adjourn before
I
Paul
just-
finds anything else?
I just want, just want to make sure we're all good with that, right?
Yep.
Very good, all right. Motion
to
by
adjourn.
Councilor Thornton, second by Councilor Harrington. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That was to abstain? To
To adjourn,
adjourn.
yes.
Yeah, but I don't need to.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Tom.
No? Not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to catch up, sorry.
You want to stay?
No, he had something to say in Councilor's comments, so,
He's gonna be a little faster with this one right here.
no, we can definitely do it. You're good? 700.